Rita, how are
Thank you.
you today?
Fine, and you, James?
I'm doing great. You've been having a couple of good weeks here traveling
Oh,
around
yes.
California and Oregon.
Really wonderful weeks, yeah. I enjoyed a lot the people, the nature, the ocean. It has been a really great time. And
Yeah.
also having these exchanges with you, that was really great.
Yeah. So that's part of the reason why I wanted to get you in here and like sit down and do a little interview with you because I've known you now for somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 years and I met you in Nicaragua and you were working as the director of a organization there up in the mountains and I know about your work to some extent, but I'm excited to learn a little bit more about it in the conflict transformation, sustainable development, and what else?
Organizational development, this
Organization.
is where I started. Well, I started with, let's start from the beginning,
Let's
okay?
start from the beginning. I know you've done so many things, and it's been
Yeah, it's a little bit difficult to say where was the
yeah,
start, yeah. But maybe I will just introduce myself a little bit, yeah. You know that I'm
sure.
from Germany. I grew up in the Black Forest, yeah. This is
Mm-hmm.
why I have a very strong connection with nature, and I'm always try to integrate nature also in my work, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and help people to achieve this connection. My pathway also has been shaped by conflicts and war. I am coming from a generation who was exposed to a lot of silence, yeah, after the Second World War, and this generated a lot of trouble. Yeah, this is why I also got engaged in the peace movement in the early 80s. Yeah, and this is how, due to different friends and information, I finally decided to go to Nicaragua as a volunteer for 1 year, and then I stayed there for 32 years.
So what year was that you went into Nicaragua
In 86,
in
yeah.
'86?
Yeah, there was still the
Okay,
civil war going
sure.
on until 1990.
Right.
Of course, when you're coming from Germany, you only maybe see one side of the war. Yeah,
Right.
so it was for me very important and a very important learning. Yeah, to see that there are always at least two sides or even more. Yeah, so I loved working with the people. I
Mm-hmm.
started working in rural communities with the approach of educación popular. This is like an approach which comes from Brazil
Yeah.
originally, and it helps people to learn based
Right.
on their own reality. Yeah, so this was really one of the key learnings from the 80s.
So that educación popular, it's popular
Yeah.
education, meaning that each that it was laymen that were going out and teaching each other. Wasn't that what the idea of that
Yeah,
was?
it
It
was
wasn't a big scholastic system. It was
no,
yes,
not at
the
all.
common people going to teach the common people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Okay.
was rather, as a teacher, you are rather facilitating a space. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
your students, mainly adult or very young students, yeah, they identify, for example, problems, issues they are facing. Yeah, then you just guide them through a reflection and analysis
Right.
process
Mm.
to figure out their own solutions. Yeah, so it's not somebody who comes from outside and who starts teaching them
Mm-hmm.
what they should do, yeah, what's the perfect solution. It's rather themselves, based on their own context, with their own resources, yeah, figuring out, okay, what might be really good for us in this specific moment, in this specific context, yeah.
Okay.
So this is my start, how I introduced myself
Mm.
into a very, how can I explain it? Into methodologies, yeah, which are far away from what you learn in university, for example. Yeah.
Right, because I remember you talking about being autodidactic, like
Yeah,
self-taught, largely
yeah,
self-taught,
yeah,
and how that has helped shape your vision and your methodologies, your the way that you work with people, the way you see working with conflict and sustainable development and those sorts of things. Is that?
Yeah, the point is that I'm always a very curious person, and when I see certain issues, problems, conflicts, whatever, I'm trying to learn more about it. Yeah, and I think also you never ever stop learning. Yeah, the learning process and the self-teaching process. Yeah, this is a lifelong process. Yeah, and. And as I have been working, for example, in the rural communities, or also you talked about the mountains, yeah, Jinotega, this very beautiful town in the mountains, yeah. You don't have the opportunities to go to a very fancy university or to make a lot of trainings, yeah. So my way to learn was rather learning together with the people, but also connecting the practice also with theory, yeah, and trying also even to get involved in research processes, because I really think we need to connect more the academic world with the development world. Often they are very separated, living and working in their own bubbles, yeah, as well as, for example, you have organizations who are focusing on sustainable development, climate change issues, but then you have organizations who work on peace and conflict issues, and we need to connect these things, yeah, and this is one of my approaches, yeah, I'm trying to foster, to promote more. Yeah.
So that actually brings me to another part of your work that we've been talking a lot about, and that's bridge building.
Yeah.
And extending the bridge. How did you say? Tender el puente.
Tender puente.
Which, if you translate it more literally, it's like extend the olive branch kind of idea.
Yeah.
So you're extending. So talk a little bit about how somebody might come into a place within themselves to be able to be in a place where they can extend the olive branch or the bridge to somebody that they're in conflict with, or somebody that is, like you talk about the bubbles, that is just in such a separate sphere of work, that they don't have a common language or something like that.
Yeah.
How does that work with your methodology?
Yeah, generally when people or also groups, organizations, societies have conflicts, they always get stuck in their positions, and each of them think, okay, my position is the only truth, it's the unique one,
And families, right?
And families, of course, well, that's another topic. We will talk another day about it.
Whole podcast, right?
That's really, but everything is connected anyway,
Yes.
So the point is that, for example, I'm also a mediator, I have been trained as peace mediator, and one of the things I learned, and I also have been practicing, don't try to bring the people to the table. Start together.
Right.
Start talking with each of them separately, Start introducing this reflection process, trying to make at least, and often it's not even possible to bring them to the same table, So you start with the conflict party who is open, who really wants to figure out how can we get out of this conflict situation, and conflict in the sense that often conflict per se isn't a bad thing. We need conflicts to develop, but as humans,
dynamic tension, that's what I call it.
And as humans, conflicts are often related with violence, different kinds of violence, verbal violence, digital violence, which is a very huge topic nowadays, but also physical violence, sexual violence, there are a lot of expressions, So the point is, okay, one party really is willing to get out of this situation, to find a solution, to at least to reach a situation where there is no violence anymore or no fear, to be in a violent context, But the other side doesn't want, So you start making or facilitating this process with one party, and that means, first of all, that the person needs to reflect about his or her own, or the party needs to reflect about their own needs, yeah, and this is very much connected also with their feelings, yeah, with their sensations, yeah. What do they really feel, yeah, when they are in front of the other conflict party, or what was going on, yeah, during the situation that triggered the violent conflict, yeah, or the outbreak or whatever. You go through their fears as well, yeah, because there are also fears. Okay, I want to change the situations, yeah, but then maybe I will lose my face in front of. You say this in English? You
lose face, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
you lose your face, yeah, in front of the
respectability
public,
or
in front of
power,
other
right,
people.
right.
You lose power. There are a lot of fears around there, and also needs. Yeah, you always need to identify. Okay, what are the needs of this person, of this conflict parties? But then you also introduce the perspective change, in the sense of, okay, now step into the shoes or the moccasins or the sandals of the other party and go through the whole process, yeah, from their perspective. Yeah.
So you were talking to me a little earlier today, actually, this triangle where you have myself and the other person and then an observer.
Yeah.
So let's just make up a little situation,
Yeah.
and let's just make it real simple. Two brothers
Yeah.
are in conflict
Yeah.
with each other. So can you walk through, just like really briefly, just
Yeah.
walk through like what that process might look like with the person that wants to change, the one brother and the other brother here, and then the observer. I know this is just one of your tools, but
Yeah.
I'd like to hear
Yeah.
like how that might work.
Okay, so for example, I work with one person. Yeah, can you borrow me your glass?
Okay, but I'm going to take a drink first.
Okay. Yeah. So for example, I asked the person to put three. Yeah, we need something else.
Here, this
one.
Oh, let's try that one. Okay, we got lots of stuff here.
Yeah, okay. So I ask a person to put, for example, 3 post-its, yeah, in a triangle on the soil, yeah, and to identify.
Or on the floor. That's
yeah.
what you mean, like on the floor.
On the
ground
floor,
or
yeah, on
something,
the
right?
ground, yeah. Yeah. So, and I also ask him or her, okay, identify an entry point, yeah. So, for example, this is the entry point, yeah, and I start the reflection there. So the person stands here on this post-it, yeah, on this card, yeah, and then I ask her, okay, this is A, this is your position, this is B, this is the position of your conflict party, your brother in this case, and this is an observer.
An objective person that doesn't have anything
it might be
in.
an alien, it might be your grandfather, it might be I don't know, the mayor, whoever.
Right, it doesn't matter, but it's just an objective person that doesn't have any.
An observer.
Doesn't have any skin in the game, is what we would say. Like,
so the brother who came with his issue to me, yeah, I ask him to stand here in his own position, and then he closes his eyes. I'm walking him, I'm guiding him through a reflection where he goes through the conflictive situation again to maybe it might be a trigger situation, yeah, and I'm using all the senses, yeah. What did you see? What did you hear? What did you even smell? Or what did you observe? How was your own face, your gesture, your position, your body language? And what did you see from your brothers? What did you observe at your brother's face, his eyes, his voice, the volume, and your own volume, yeah? So he's going through the situation again, yeah, from his own perspective. Then he steps out again to the initial position and reflects on what did he learn from this perspective. Then I ask him to move to his brother's position and even name himself like his brother. Yeah. And I'm going through the same process again, yeah, but now from the perspective of the brother.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Again, he steps out, he goes back to the initial position. I ask him, now think about what did you learn from this perspective.
Good, right.
Yeah. And the final perspective, the observer perspective, okay, I'm going through again with some different types of questions, but very similar. Yeah. What did you just came by when this happened? Yeah. What did you observe? Yeah.
Right.
Which sensations came up when you came to surface? Yeah?
Surface, yeah.
When you saw the situation, yeah. What did you observe in terms of sensations, of voice, of whatever, yeah, the gesture, the body language, yeah. And then also you go out again and come back to the initial position and identify what did I learn from the observer's perspective. And only this exercise, yeah, which somehow integrates not only your mental exercise, yeah, it integrates your feelings, but also your physical sensations, yeah. This helps a lot and gives a lot of enlightenment in terms of, okay, maybe I have a little bit better understanding of what happens from my brother's perspectives, what happened to him, what are his needs maybe, and maybe I can figure out, oh, our needs are not so different, yeah. Maybe we can find, it's like if you think, okay, I'm the sun, this is the rain, but when they both are coming together, you have a rainbow, yeah. So there might be coming out a solution, or at least different options. Okay, how can I move, even if my brother is still not willing to move? How can I move the system?
So there's like 3 different things in there. Like actually, there's about 100 different things, but there's like 3 things that I'm keying in on there. Right. One is the sensations, and coming into the body and making it a full body experience, as opposed to just a mental experience, right? To go like, let's see, I remember what I did, but to feel that, right? To drop into that. That's one thing. Yeah. And I do recall, like from some of our conversations, that's a big step in creating empathy, like within myself, for instance, to be able to feel into what it might be like to be the other person. Yeah. So that's one thing, is a sensation-based awareness, that sort of bringing the whole body holistic approach. That's one of the things that you're talking about. The other is that because one of the places where we spent a lot of time together was in the study of family constellations, the Hellinger work, right? Yeah. And this has a pretty good feel of what that work is. They were teaching us how to do it with objects. Yeah. And then the other side, the other thing that I find really insightful, and I'm probably doing too many questions right now, please track me.
What was our first question again?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, so is coming into this observer position where you're looking at the situation from the outside. And I could just see for myself, like a lot of situations I've been in, and looking at it from the outside, I'd be like, holy crap. Yeah. We would look really silly there, or there was no reason for that, or like an objective observer might just be like, what are you guys really arguing about? So that's another huge, that self-reflection, the objective, like taking that step back and being in the other person's shoes, and then the full body sensation, all of those things combine, it sounds like to me, to really create at least the opportunity to create empathy within yourself.
Yeah, of
and
course.
Then that would be like one of the first places to begin to create those bridges.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing from you.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember your first question.
Well, no, it wasn't really a question, but about the sensation-based awareness.
Yeah.
Right? I'm gonna pull our little people off. Do you still need them? No, that's yours.
Okay. Okay. No, the point is that, a lot of things are going on when you're doing this exercise. And last year I had a very interesting experience. It was a little bit scary at a certain point because I didn't know what might come out. I worked with police officers in Germany. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I should say, oh my goodness, I have no idea. They're probably just good people as everybody else.
The topic was a little bit about how to manage very difficult situations, because police officers are called when there's trouble with somebody, and often there are also, you know this also from the US, you have intercultural issues, they don't know very well how to manage it, and things like that. So the point was, I made this exercise with them, and it was really great, but one of them, he was a bit like 2 meters tall, and
that's 6 feet for you Americans.
Yeah. Okay, really big guy, and suddenly he already was in the observer position, but he jumped out and had to sit down, and I was a bit like, oh my goodness, what is going on? And then he gave his feedback and he said, I'm fine, but I just got aware, because I asked them to start with not with a really complex conflict, which really is still, you start feeling sick when only thinking about the conflict, just to start with very low level conflicts, And he said, well, I choose one situation, and I thought, oh, this was 10 years ago, I already have been managing this, I'm fine with this, but I want to go through the situation again just to learn. And he figured out it was a mental exercise before,
Oh,
and once he really started, using or sensing,
dropping into a sensation, feeling it in his body.
Feeling it, and also stepping into the shoes of the other person, and going through this it was really powerful. And he said, no, I have to work on this. This is not resolved. This is not gone. He was very grateful. I of course I made sure that he will be fine, and he said, don't worry, I will go home, I don't have to drive, I will go home with a very good friend, and I will be in a safe space, don't worry about me, But that showed me also how powerful such a very simple exercise can be. And there is the point, when you want to tend or to extend bridges, or to extend the olive branch,
However you look,
you don't need everybody on the same table. Just start with yourself, because once you are aware, once you are aware what is going on with you and what might go on with the other person or the other group, the other conflict party, this means you start changing your attitude. And for me, this is the most important thing, changing your attitude. And this also implies you have to go through a process, to learn or to strengthen your capacity of empathy.
Build the empathy muscles, that's what you were saying.
The empathy muscle, you don't only go to the gym, to train your physical muscles, which is also important, but you also need to constantly train your listening competency, your listening skills. And there's a very great model I like very much, and I received a lot of very great feedback from workshop and training participants. This comes from the theory U from Otto Scharmer, the 4 levels of listening. Otto Scharmer.
Okay, we'll write that out.
He's working with the MIT, the Massachusetts Institute for Technology. And he identified 4 levels. The downloading mode, yeah. Okay, you're talking to me, but I already know James, so I already know the topics he likes to talk about, yeah. Somatic pleasure.
Scrolling through text, yeah.
Yeah, so, but I'm already preparing my message, yeah, because I would like to talk to you to something
like what I'm doing right now, right?
Yeah. So most of our time we are really in this download mode. We are not really listening to the other person. Yeah, we are rather focused on what I would like to express, what's my message I would.
The download mode.
The download mode.
Interesting.
Yeah. But to get out from this download mode, yeah. The next level is the factual listening. Oh, James, maybe the factual listening, yeah? Okay. I'm getting interested on, maybe James, he learned something new and would like to share it with me, or he had a very great experience during his last workshop and he would like to talk about this. So I'm listening with interest, yeah? The next level is the empathic listening, yeah? So I'm not only interested on what might you
have to
say, yeah. I'm also at the same time trying to listen to you from your perspective, yeah. Stepping into your shoes. And the next, this is really the master level, the generative listening, yeah.
Generative.
Yeah, how do I connect what I'm listening, what you're telling me, stepping into your shoes, yeah, establishing empathy with you, and connecting what I'm hearing from you with my own thoughts. And then we will have a much more deep conversation, and we will be able to develop new ideas. This is why we had so many inspirations during this.
I know, right? we out on the Willamette, and
Yeah, I think we really
driving
got
for 20 hours.
I think we really got there,
to a great extent.
Yeah. And this is really one of the key competences we need to develop more and more, again and again.
So one question I want to ask you is about empathy. So there's a difference between the way I see it, and I've read a few things myself, but the difference between empathy and sympathy, right? And then empathy meaning that you can understand the other person's position. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it, or it doesn't mean that you have to support it.
Yeah.
I don't know. How do you look at that?
Yeah, empathy is really, for me, it's, okay, I'm able to step into your shoes to get a better understanding, yeah, why and what are maybe the root causes, yeah, or what might be your needs, or what might be your triggers, yeah, to behave in the way you behaved. Yeah, when we are, for example, having an argument, we are having a tension or a conflict, whatever, yeah. And there's a saying we use in mediation: there might be 1,000 reasons for bad behavior. Understanding the reasons doesn't mean to accept all of them.
Right.
Yeah?
So I mean that's like when people have been victimized, let's say a rape victim, or in a war or something like that. Yeah, of course. And that how do you work with somebody that is in that has experienced that, and saying, well, you need to have empathy for that person. So I mean, that just that you can't. It doesn't seem like you can make that jump. So no. how would you bring that in? That kind of a.
That's a huge process, and you cannot really jump directly. First of all, you need to break this victim-aggressor cycle. Yeah, because often I'm a victim, but then I also can become an aggressor. Yeah, because I have this. I develop hate, sure. Against my aggressor, I have...
But an understandable hate, or
Yeah,
anger.
but the point is that this doesn't lead you really to the solution. Yeah, so the first step is how can you really break with this, ongoing cycle. I'm victim, then I become aggressor, and then I'm victim again, and it might never stop, and you can see it even
Sure.
in conflicts between countries, between societies, suddenly
we're watching it all over the world.
all over the world right now, so there's a very interesting model from the Eastern Mennonite University. They call it the resilience snail. It's like
the resilience snail.
And you go very slowly. You need first of all to work to heal your own trauma related to the violent situation, You go through you need to recognize, to acknowledge, what happened, You start healing and you go through a whole process, And at one point, you need to take a decision, okay, do I want to forgive my aggressor?
Right.
I'm able, I want to or not.
Right.
And some people say, okay, it's good for me. Maybe I don't care about you, but forgiveness might be even part of my healing process. It helps me, to improve my life.
Yes.
It's not about you. But other people, they say, no, I'm not able, or at least not now, to forgive the aggressor. But even so, they can become more resilient, and have a better life and experience new ways to guarantee their well-being, their healing process,
So it seems to me like, and this is something that I've felt for a long time, and that I have worked with some of my own clients around, is that, you just said it, forgiveness isn't for the other person. It's not about the other person, actually. It's about the quality of my life, and it's not that place where it's like, well, I don't give a shit about you, I care about me, but it's that place where I want to be resilient, I want to be balanced, I want to have equilibrium, I want to have agency, I want to not be afraid every time I go out the door, So, it's kind of like forgiveness doesn't happen until I can get to that place in me where I'm not being triggered every time I think about the person, every time I walk into a situation, that kind of a thing. And it really has nothing to do with that person, you're not going like, oh, you're fine now. And then wouldn't it be beautiful if all the perpetrators and victims could get together and we could have that deep conversation, where I don't think we're there yet as a society.
I think there are very interesting and powerful experiences, for example, from the reconciliation process in South Africa and also in Rwanda, after the genocide, it's not something that, each person is unique and different, and each situation was unique. You cannot compare, and you never can just, replicate the same process. You can use what might be useful, but you always need to adapt to the specific concept. And for some people it works, for others not. You need a lot of patience when you're working in the peace and conflict
time
field.
Patience and different tools.
A lot of tools. No, you really need a huge toolbox, but I also would like to say that you don't need very sophisticated tools. Often very simple ones. For example, I use this perspective change with, I learned this also in the mediation process, and I started adapting it and using it in very different contexts, also in the organizational work or for team building, for example, I start, I, Rita, feel sad. I fear a loss, or I feel the loss of our friendship, and I wish that we could establish a better communication, and if I'm working with one conflict party, for example, or with one person in a coaching process, a conflict coaching, then I ask her to step now in James' shoes, for example, and to say, I, James, feel da 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 da. I, James, fear, and I, James, desire. Have a wish, that this and that, And this is a very simple exercise, but can be really powerful, to connect people, to extend the bridge.
It's simple in its
it's
execution, but you're talking about multi-level tendrils going all over the place on that kind of thing. And I don't want to stop necessarily what you're saying, but I want to bring this into the work you're currently doing and some of the work you're currently developing. So you have your website is SysWays, which is systemic pathways. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about what you mean by systemic pathways. What does that mean?
Yeah. Okay, pathways, that comes from my passion, because I like to hike.
Yeah, you do. Hard to keep up with.
And I always like to explore new pathways, but also use the already existing ones.
Right.
So I like to work a lot with metaphors and images. And I work a lot with theories of change and theories of transformation. But what I have seen, that generally most organizations or people use it from a very mental perspective. Okay, we have to make analysis about the current situation, the context, the stakeholders, and then we are identifying the different objectives and indicators and this and that. My approach has been rather working with images, but also using your own body to walk through the pathway, to identify, okay, first of all, like, you remember this part from Alice in the Wonderland when she reached in her pathway, how do you say, empalme, when
she reached the fork in the road.
The fork in the road, and the cat was sitting there on a tree.
The Cheshire cat.
And Alicia asked him, which pathway should I choose? And the cat said, it depends on where do you want to go to? What's your destination? So I start always with the destination. What would you like to achieve at the personal level? It doesn't matter, you can use these pathways at the personal level. If I want to change some behavior, the current situation, if you're working as a team, as an organization, as a municipality, community, or even as a social movement, it doesn't matter. So first I start with what do we want to achieve, and then I'm traveling back from the future to the current, to the present, and I help them to identify different milestones, but I do this all again, they are putting cards on the floor and I'm guiding them. They are closing their eyes, they just stand there, they have to sense everything, every milestone of this change process, and I bring them but very softly in a time machine, which goes very slowly, to the current moment, and also it's like backwards, but also forward again. Okay, now you're starting from the current situation. What will be the next step, in your change process, And as you are moving, and you are going through this process with all your senses, it's very different, They often get, this is what I really want to change, or this is what, because when they are coming together as a collective, they start exchanging their ideas, and so it also generates synergy, not only regarding thoughts, but rather regarding, which type of sensations did we experience when we went through this process, And that's a really powerful. It's a simple exercise. It looks simple, yeah.
Right.
And it is not so difficult to facilitate, but it's very powerful for me.
So that was a pretty fascinating process, and I definitely hear the somatic work in there, the sensation-based awareness, the movement towards individual healing or understanding of self, and the empathy of putting a person putting themselves in another person's shoes, and then the position of objectivity, and then moving back and forth between this is where I would like to be, and running that backwards to like this is where I am right now, like the reality, right? And then running that back and forth, and really feeling into it, like really sensing into it, and like you get that full embodiment of it, right? In my work, I call it getting to your fuck yes and your fuck no. Like getting to those, like, oh, this is what a yes feels like in my body.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's, so like, oh gosh, I want this, but it, doesn't feel right, right? So anyway, we won't go any more deeper into that. But what it reminds me of is something else we were talking about, and you were talking about this sustainable, transformative engagement, right? And that has a lot of bits and pieces to it, but that's sort of like a kind of like a core to your work right now.
Yeah. I have been working with a lot of, for example, young climate activists, who are trying to move forward in terms of climate protection and adaptation and mitigation and things like that, or mitigation of climate change. Yeah.
Can I just interject here? Is that like mostly like in Central America, or is that Africa, or is that Germany, Europe? Where is those?
This work, I have been developing it more in Central America and in Europe. For example, 2 years ago we brought together youth from mainly Eastern European countries, Germany, and all the Central American countries, to exchange, to identify pathways, how can they really in a more sustainable and healthy and effective way move forward. This is why I'm working also with this approach of sustainable transformative engagement, because what I have seen, not only with climate activists or other feminists or other kind of activists, also I have been working a lot with Nicaraguan refugees, because since 2018 a lot of people have been forced to leave Nicaragua. Most of them are in Costa Rica, but a lot of them are spread all around the world. And you can see, it doesn't matter if you're working with young climate activists or if you're working with refugees, there's a lot of anxiety. When you work with them, you already see and feel the sensation, and often they even express that they are getting ill a lot, they are getting sick, they have suffer from depression, and it makes a lot with them, to have this feeling of helplessness, I don't know how to figure out to be able to go back to Nicaragua. How can we face this huge topic of climate change? And so
very impotent, like it is impotent.
It's like but there are three pillars when you are working with this approach of sustainable transformative engagement. You need to work on the vision, what could be the different pathways, and there's not one pathway to achieve, for example, climate change mitigation, or to achieve peace in Nicaragua, or wherever, or in DRC, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or in Ethiopia, wherever, in Rwanda. There's not one pathway. There are different pathways. Sometimes they are coming together, sometimes they are being developed in parallel, it doesn't matter. So first of all, you need to have clarity about what do I really want to achieve, yeah, and what might be the different pathways. You need to reflect and design and always evaluate and learn from your change processes. But there are also two other key elements, yeah. Your personal resilience, yeah, that means how I am able, how I can strengthen my own capacity to cope, yeah, with different types of shocks and stressors. And during our whole life, even, you know, we never ever will get the perfect world, yeah. So you will always facing natural events, but also human-made events, conflicts, economic how to say
downturns and situations, and
at the family level you are going to lose, you will suffer losses, yeah, your grandparents will die, your parents,
brothers and sisters,
exactly. Friends, yeah. So you never ever can say, okay, my life will be going smoothly, perfectly. So all of us, we need to develop our resilience capacity. Yeah,
well, that's what I tell people is, like, you know, you don't have to search out the pain and the suffering of life. It's gonna come to you in big.
And it means you need to develop resilience at the physical level, at the psychological, emotional level, the social level, the economic level as well. There are a lot of nuances, a lot of aspects you need to consider. And you also go through a process, yeah, after you face a certain shock or stressor, yeah. You cope, you need to cope, you need, for example, sometimes when people has a lot of anxiety, I learned this exercise from a very dear Swiss friend, yeah, the self-hug, yeah. You put your hand here over the heart, yeah, and this hand on your right arm, and you just breathe, yeah. Sometimes you don't have a psychologist around there, yeah, who can support you, yeah.
Or family or friends.
You just need to calm down your nervous system, yeah. Give you a self-hug, yeah. And breathe, and you know this is your job, yeah. You know this much better than me, how to breathe, yeah. And so there are very simple but important and powerful exercises, yeah. You can learn, you can develop, yeah. You can train, yeah. And that might be really helpful, yeah, to overcome difficult situations, to adapt, yeah, but also to transform when you are learning from these processes. How can I manage a similar situation better in the future? Yeah.
And then what you were talking about earlier, the systemic part of that being that if I make those changes within myself, without even trying to affect everything out there, we know that those little changes can have these, you know, like the butterfly effect, and it can have these bigger changes. I mean, I can just say that, you know, personally, I can see that in my own life when I've done those things and watch my, you know, relationship with my father transform, or my brothers and sisters, or, you know, those kinds of things. So, this is powerful. And go ahead.
The third element is a collective resilience. Yeah. And that means, for example, I may be able to work on my personal resilience, but often, or not everybody is able to do this on his own or her own. So if we are part of a group, a community, an organization or social movement, we also need to build and to create spaces and structures to support people. Often activists are going through burnouts, for example.
My God, I know. Yeah? That's another whole podcast.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, we will. I will come back to it.
We'll come back to it. Put a pin in there.
The next group. Yeah.
Let's not bring anybody here into that.
So the point is, how can you create spaces? How can you create structures, to support people who are going through these kind of situations, How can you generate these safe spaces, to heal? Often even especially activists when they are, or people who are refugees, yeah, who come to the US, yeah, who went really, they went through very difficult situations in their home countries, then maybe they had to travel through the whole Central American countries, through Mexico, cross the border. They had to face, how do you say, to coyotes? They had
Is
to
it
a lot of
the coyotes, right? The traffickers,
they
basically.
really had to face a lot of risks, yeah, and life-threatening risks, yeah, to be able to come here. And then they need to integrate in the US
Right.
society.
Yeah.
This is another whole process, yeah, which is combined and overlaps with the resilience process, yeah. So how can you create spaces? And often they have been suffering a lot of trauma in their original countries where they are coming from. Often they are, how do you say, perseguido?
They persecuted.
They were persecuted by the police, by military,
Government, by other people,
some
religions,
of them
whatever.
have been in prison, and
Yeah.
you know, there's or now you also have a lot of climate change refugees, yeah, because
food shortages. And
yeah,
water
they
shortages,
just
right?
cannot.
No
Yeah.
wind.
They cannot plant their crops anymore because there's no water. Yeah.
I think that was one of the things that when I spent so much time in Nicaragua and then coming, or not just in Nicaragua, but in these types of countries and then coming back and realizing that most of us here in the West, if you will, right, have no idea what it feels like to not have opportunity, to not, like, it's just not
Don't
there.
have
It's not, you can't work harder. You can't work smarter.
Yeah.
You can't,
there's
it's
no
not
access.
just go get a job and pull yourself
Yeah.
up by your bootstraps. It's like, it's just not there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not there when it's famine or,
life.
somebody's taking, exactly. So
the means of life, they are just missing, and often, and the people don't want to immigrate, or they don't want to leave their country. They are just forced to, due to different situations, due to different types of triggers and shocks and stressors, But so the point is that when we talk about this sustainable, transformative engagement, transformation in the sense of we need to transform our environment in a systemic way. Yeah, that means you need to be aware that what is your entry point to change the system. You need to be aware, I have to transform myself, then we can transform our relationship, then we can come together and transform our dynamics as a group, as a community. But then, how can we really start cooperating instead of fighting with our neighbor communities or with other organizations?
Or with just our human nature, and we haven't even gotten to talking about nature yet. We're gonna roll into that in a second. But the sustainable, transformative engagement involves self-reflection, right?
Yeah,
and choosing a place to be, a place you'd like to be. I'm just sort of trying to synthesize a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's an individual first process and then becomes a collective process. Is that kind of...
Yeah, maybe not first. I think these processes can happen in parallel, because often you need to create collective structures to strengthen individual resilience, and only then you might be able to think about your pathways, Sometimes you start, your entry point might be the pathway, really figuring out what kind of sustainable development or what kind of world of community we would like to see in the future, and then figuring out, what is needed to get there and what is needed in terms of individual and collective resilience, It's not like a very, step-by-step process,
Would you put it like in a circle, in a sense of like there's not really a specific starting point, but they all work together?
It might be dynamic, and sometimes you need more from this and sometimes more from that, So it depends always on the context, you are working in, and the group, and the needs of the group as well.
God, we could talk for hours. This could be a long one, but I want to take a little bit of time to go into, like, we were just out on a hike today, and we're talking about nature, and you were expressing some things about how you have taken people into more natural settings, or how much you would like to integrate more the natural settings with bringing people into that and into your work. Can you just what is that? How does that look to you? How does bringing somebody into a more natural setting, when I say like at the forest and the beach and that kind of thing, how is that? What kind of effect does that have on the work you're talking about? In general.
Well, the ideal environment is really being able to work in presence, with people in a place where you are at least surrounded by nature. And we had also some really beautiful experiences, and you have been part of this in Nicaragua when we organized these hiking tours, hiking trips, where we integrated also information, for example, how does climate change affect the coffee production in Nicaragua, or the different types of information, but also how does it feel. And we worked, for example, with students from secondary school. We made these hiking tours, just to, and most of them, they're living in the town, in the city, and they don't have contact with nature, and it changes a lot their well-being. The nervous system, it changes completely when you're in nature. When you start breathing, you start smelling, you start listening to other kind of sounds, not noises, not the noises from the town. You start listening to the wind, to the birds singing, to the small creek, the waterfall, These are completely different sounds.
And the smells and the colors and the variations.
And you are moving, and you see the different greens and blue of the sky, and so this helps your body as well and your soul. We have a very beautiful word in Nicaragua. It's called apapacha. It means caressing your soul. Caressing your soul. It's so beautiful, It's like, and when you're in nature, it's like apapacho. It's like apapacha, You are caressing your soul,
it's so interesting, because the last person that I interviewed, she had this feeling of the wind blows memories across your body. So we're really wired for this touch and of our environment. We're really wired to feel and to connect and to have that bring more equilibrium, balance into our lives. And we, one of the things we were talking about, and I wanted you to finish your thought, but also just like talking about how we see this structure as the body, but especially when we go into nature, how we can feel like our body is actually
extending. When I'm in the forest, I feel a completely different energy. It's not only the body, what you're feeling, your skin, and all the senses, you can use and develop there. You also feel more connection, with what is really meaningful in life, And often you don't need a lot. Of course, we need to eat, we need food, we need a shelter and things like that. But personally, I experienced when I went through 2 burnouts, really bad ones, And I also had a very difficult situation, very well. During the past years, I was forced also, to leave Nicaragua, and it was my adoptive home country, after Germany, You know that very well, And what really helped
made me
me,
cry.
what really helped me with this connection with nature, to overcome this, because at the end I feel, okay, nature doesn't have borders, They might, there's a border that hinders me to go back to my home, but at the end, the sky, the ocean, we collected the cent dollars, for example. We also have cent dollars in Nicaragua. It's the same ocean they are coming from, so this helps me a lot, to see the world as a whole and not to put it in pieces, to cut it in pieces with a lot of borders, And this is a little bit the perfect setting for learning processes, for change processes. Right. But what I also learned, partially due to COVID, during the pandemic times, I had to start working more online. I already worked online because I have been working a lot with international teams as a freelancer after finalizing my work with La Cuculmeca, with the organization we co-founded, 3 women.
It was finalized for you,
for me, I started working as a freelancer, and I also had a lot of experiences all around the world, especially also in Africa, And so we had to work a lot of online, so I was already used to a lot of tools, but of course the pandemic forced me, to make my work, to facilitate processes online, and especially when you're working with personal transformation.
It's weird.
Or you are used to, tell the people is get up, go through this pathway, for example. But finally I figured out how to do this, and I also started to integrate more breath work and more meditations that connect people with nature, or integrating sounds and music, So I think now, and also the other reason, I worked a lot with people, for example, Nicaraguans who are still in Nicaragua, and refugees who are spread all over the world, who cannot meet physically, so there was a need, and there's still a need, even after the pandemic time, to work online. And what I learned, it's possible. It's not the perfect setting, not my ideal setting, but you can achieve much more than you think, So this is
and you can reach a wider, like you said, you're able to reach like all over the world instead of just in those 30 people that come into the classroom.
I have been working, for example, with people who are settled in Latin America, in Europe, in Africa, and in Asia at the same time, bringing them together. And this is powerful because you bring different cultures together, different experiences, and often they find out, we are not so different,
not so different.
But they also are able to acknowledge their differences and the diversity and the richness, of this diversity, So this is beautiful, and you cannot do this in presence, You need a lot of money, you need a lot of flights, You need a lot of carbon footprint, to make this possible. So I think it's good to have this combination as well, But you can do much more as maybe we have thought 3, 4, 5 years ago.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank God for the pandemic.
Not necessarily.
But so that this actually is great because I wanted to talk a little bit about your website, which is still in development.
Yeah, it's still in development.
But I just when I first looked at it, I was amazed by the sheer number of courses that you had available on it.
Yeah.
Now, I understand that these courses aren't really courses that, let's say, I as an individual could go in and register for and take the course, but these are actually descriptions of courses that you offer for more like organizations and that kind of a thing. Is that right?
Yeah, okay. On my e-learning platform, Sistrace Academy, I upload
Sistways.academy. That's what it is.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have courses. Yeah, of course they are developed for specific organizations or groups. Yeah, based on their demand. I have mainly right now in Spanish, but also some of them are in English. Yeah. And I have courses about conflict transformation, longer courses that take more than 1 year because I'm training facilitators and trainers, yeah, but also shorter ones if you want to learn about theories of change, for example. These are shorter trainings, or if you want to learn about how to organize in a more horizontal and more healthy way to transform our realities, yeah. Or about communication, for example, there are a lot of really practical exercises, but always with theoretical inputs. Yeah, so right now I have been working rather with specific organizations or groups. Yeah, but I'm also developing kind of self-paced trainings. Yeah, so you can go through as an individual. Yeah, on your own time. Yeah.
And those would be shorter, probably.
Yeah, these will be shorter, of course. Yeah.
And then the things that you have online, the courses that you have online, would you do that online with an organization, or are you available for organizations to hire you to come to them and teach?
I can do both, yeah. I have been working with organizations in presence a lot, yeah. And I also have been working specifically, for example, a German NGO, they asked me, okay, can you give us an introductional training about systemic organizational development? So I just tailored it based on their needs, yeah. I can do both.
Right. So how is an organization going to find you and get a hold of you for one of these amazing courses, or to develop something for them?
Sistways.academy.
Sistways.academy. Okay. And on there you have your email contact and all that kind of stuff.
Of course.
And do you do any kind of social media work with
yes, I have been starting with InDesign, with LinkedIn,
LinkedIn, okay.
On Facebook, on Instagram. I'm still developing, this way, because until now, honestly, I never needed something like advertising myself, because generally organizations or people recommend me to others, so. I didn't really feel the need, but I'm also present now a little bit more on these social media channels, And the other thing, what might be also interesting for some people, because I also have been working with individuals, for example, specifically with a sort of conflict coaching when they want to figure out how to resolve a conflict, so they can also address me.
Oh, the conflict coaching.
The conflict coaching, Okay. So it's a kind of a combination between coaching, but also with elements or methods and tools for mediation, when you are only able to work with one party, or you want to clarify, or with one team, for example, you want to figure out how can we resolve a certain issue, or also with leaders, managers, people who are in charge of a team, and they need a safe space, to reflect on this, to figure out how to resolve it, without having a mediation, because some people, they don't like mediation. It looks like, oh, we have a big conflict, and how might this look like? I'm not able to manage this, So there are also other possibilities, to work.
So you can coach organizations and teams and maybe even individuals
people,
into
leaders,
being able to learn how to resolve their own conflicts, or resource, have that conflict transformation for themselves.
Yeah, that's it.
Rita, it has been just a sheer pleasure talking to you for this little bit here, and the 12 years of knowing you and getting to know you more and having you here in my home country and getting to show you the sights and the sounds
the beauties and all the beauties
in all the beauty,
and the very nice people. Yeah.
So
thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Thanks to you
Thank
for
you.
giving me this opportunity.
My pleasure.